Hey, welcome to Judgment Day. We found this old abandoned James Bond movie set because we're talking about Nightfire.
What exact Bond film was this from? Do tell. Exactly.
Also on today's episode, Kakuto Chojin for the Xbox, Phantasy Star Online for the GameCube, JetX20 for the PlayStation 2, and Tommy and I review the Alienware laptop. First game we're going to talk about is James Bond 007 Nightfire from Gearbox and EA Games for the PC. What'd you think of this one?
Well, I tell you, I love 007 Nightfire on the consoles. I was expecting the PC version to be that and a lot more plus multiplayer.
Right.
But it was the exact opposite. In fact, they took all of the fun parts out of the console version and put it in the PC.
That's not bad.
What were they thinking?
Well, you know what's funny? This is the first James Bond game for the PC.
It's the best one.
Yes, it is. It's the first and best. And what a disappointment that this is such a drag to play.
And the problem, I think the reason it's the most disappointing about it is that because the other console versions were so great.
They were very good, yes.
Why didn't they just port all this stuff over, put some multiplayer, put a couple extra levels in, and this game would have been great. The missions are very linear as well.
I know that there are patches coming for this thing. There are tons of really simplistic and stupid AI problems in this thing that really screw up the experience. You could actually run up to people and shoot them 3-4 times in the head and nothing would happen.
Or they'd start to attack you but run in the wrong direction. Hey, come back. I just shot you in your face.
That's like going back to Doom Age or something.
But then they took all the driving parts out as well. We got to talk about the good elements as well.
Right.
The graphics are taken straight from the console versions, except you see the best resolution of them if you have a great machine.
And the worlds are a little bit bigger.
You still get those amazingly texture-mapped and polygon-filled hot women.
You actually get to take pictures of the women in one of the levels there. You have to go around snapping photos. You had to get some information back to M.
It also has all of the great music and sound design, which the console version has.
And I guess the big news about this game, too, and one of the definite high points is the fact that there's multiplayer in this thing, online multiplayer, so you can go on and play in the James Bond environments, like Fort Knox from Goldfinger, and that is really, really cool.
And they have a lot of the old characters from all of the Bond movies.
Scaramanga.
Exactly.
Jaws is in there.
Jaws, right, and even some of the women, as well.
Like Pushy Galore.
But that doesn't make up for the lack of the single-player mode. You're still James Bond, you get all the cool weapons and gadgets, and it's the first game on the PC, so, I kind of did have a little bit of fun. It's just a shame that, it had all of its shortcomings.
I was very disappointed. I'm giving it 5 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 7. On the positive side, they have a lot of great cinematics and music from the console games. The graphics are really good. And the fact that you can play all the old Bond characters and even some of the places from the old Bond movies in the multiplayer is super cool.
On the negative side, this game suffers from really terrible AI. We missed all the driving scenes in this game, and the missions overall are just very linear and boring. Now let's switch from the world of James Bond and move out to space and talk about Phantasy Star Online, episode 1 and 2 from Sega for the GameCube.
I really do not like this style of game whatsoever.
And you have no taste. You forgot to finish your sentence.
All right.
Sega created Phantasy Star ages ago for the Genesis. It's an action RPG.
And it's completely boring. When you boot up the game, they actually make you agree to a contract.
A lot of young kids are going to be playing this game, and they're trying to cover their butts. They don't want to get sued.
Put a disclaimer in the manual or something. Now, here's the other deal, is that they make you pay a monthly fee for playing the game.
All the online RPGs are doing exactly the same thing.
This being the first game and the first online experience for the GameCube, you think they would have tried to get people motivated to get online.
If you don't like it, you don't play it. You know?
And you've wasted $50.
So most people that want this kind of experience know what they're getting into.
The thing is that there's tons and tons and tons of reading throughout this game. There's no voiceovers that, explain the
It's
things.
a massive game.
It's a big game.
It's a massive game. It's
two big games.
Two massive games.
In one.
It really encourages a sense of community. You can get online and you can talk with people from all over the world.
There's no keyboard for the GameCube.
You can find a keyboard. There's a keyboard.
So you have to find a keyboard now.
ASCII made a keyboard controller. I think it might only still be available in Japan, but it'll definitely be here. They've put in all kinds of shortcut phrases so you can tap a couple of buttons on the controller and you can say some pretty generic things. Admittedly, they're generic, but you can actually create your own phrases so that you can say what you want. It has a built-in translator, which is one of the coolest things about this game. So it's an amazing experience, man. You could be playing with people from Japan.
The computer chooses which target that you have to focus on.
Yeah.
Now, this is fine if there's only one or two
I didn't
targets.
have that much problems
The
with
problem
targeting.
is that when 5 or 6 people are attacking you from different directions, you want to be able to switch to the closest guy. You can't.
It sort of figures out.
Defend that one.
It sort of figures out where you're facing, and if you press the left trigger button,
right,
most of the time you're going to be hitting the character that's right ahead of you. But it's not just a straight fighting game that we're talking about here. This is a game of collection. It's a game of talking to people and having them join your party and going into adventures together. The single-player game actually is a lot of fun. You can play through, build up your character, get a sense of where the game will take you. They've also included a split-screen mode, so if you don't have the network adapter, you can just get right into a split-screen experience with somebody at home. And then you get episode 1 and a whole other episode as well on the disc. It's a great value. I'm giving it 9.5 out of 10.
This is going to be the biggest disparity in the history of Judgment Day.
Oh, no.
I'm giving it a 3.
On the positive side, if you're looking for an online role-playing experience for your GameCube, this is an awesome game.
And your only choice.
There's so much stuff to do and collect in this game, you're going to get hooked, guaranteed. But definitely the best part about this game is being able to interact with people from all over the world.
On the negative side, I thought the targeting system was really poorly done. If you're not into lots of reading, this may not be the game for you. And just be aware that there is a monthly subscription fee which is attached to the online version of this game.
Stick around, we're going to be right back and look at JetX20 for PlayStation 2.
I call it JetX20. There's nothing I enjoy more when I'm working in the boiler room than playing my Game Boy Advance. Now I'm here to talk about Dave Mirra's Freestyle BMX3. Now, the thing that will blow you away that I've never seen in any other Game Boy Advance game is that they have real digitized music and songs by Green Day and Saliva. Here's the deal. There's 4 modes of gameplay, okay? So you got multiplayer, which is really cool. You have session, where you're just trying to collect points and things like that. And you have also your mode where you kind of have to pick up things, kind of similar to Tony Hawk. And then, of course, the boring free ride. The 3D graphics in this thing are unbelievable. Very similar to the Tony Hawk games. If you've played those, you get the same experience on here as well. They also have a create a player, okay? So if you want your guy to have a blockhead or a blue blockhead as opposed to a red blockhead, or well, then you can choose that. So although it does have a creative player, who really cares? I have to talk about the controls. The controls are unfortunately the downfall of this game, is that it's very, very difficult. They do that whole thing where if you push up, you're going forward all the time, so if your bike is going down, you have to push up for the bike to keep going forward. The other thing too is that pulling off the tricks, you pretty much have to be, insane to be able to do half of these things, only because, you have to hit combinations of the A and the B button with the arrows all together and at the same time. But the music is unbelievable. It's like getting a little radio you're carrying around with you. The graphics are phenomenal. But because of the trick system and the controls, I'm going to have to bring it a little lower. I'm giving it a 7.5.
We're back. We're going to talk now about JetX20 from Killer Game and Sony Computer Entertainment of America. for PlayStation 2. What'd you think of this one?
I am a huge Jetmoto fan. Jetmoto,
sad to say, but he is a huge Jetmoto.
You never liked that game.
I never liked that game.
I loved the Jetmoto series. See, Jetmoto, the coolest thing was that whole grappling hook, and you push the button and you could swing yourself around and come out, and there's none of that in this game. And I was totally expecting that type of game
in this game
for this next generation of platform. But what instead they did is they completely ripped off Splashdown and SSX Tricky.
And Tricky, right.
And that is the problem that I have with this game, is that I would have loved to have seen the old one. I loved that game.
It's not a bad game. At the end of the day, JetX20 is a pretty fun game.
The problem is, though, is it comes out a year after Splashdown has already come out.
Splashdown and Freakstyle came out, and the Sled Storm game from EA Sports Big. So we are starting to see a definite pattern in these sort of vehicular and extreme sports games with tons of stunts, with these massive levels, with all kinds of lights and different kinds of little extra side routes and things like that in them.
Now the water itself looks amazingly beautiful.
It does. Almost as good as Splashdown.
You can do circles, and the waves come out from it.
The music is kind of cool, and one thing I will say too about the stunts and the water effects in this game, I really appreciated how choppy the water was. I was, looking for that out of Splashdown, and we've got the waves, we got the white rapids. I had fun bouncing around on the water. The controls, however, in this game are extremely touchy, and you are going to get very frustrated when you first jump into this game. You're going to bash on walls on the canyon sides. You're going to be running. I mean, you have to navigate through some pretty narrow passageways, and you are always bumping and hitting things and screaming. And
this one really took the whole SSX Tricky formula, so you got all those over-the-top, stupid characters. Why do video game companies insist on shoving this crap down our throat? Dude, pick me! Awesome, dude!
Yeah, we gotta lose this guy. That dude guy, that bra. Anybody that says bra in a video game, out of there!
Out.
We don't want him anymore.
What's up, brah? Now if I can just remember where I put my craft.
And they're all completely stereotyped.
And then there's the girl with the big booty.
She's the Swedish she's the Swedish babe, of course, the blonde babe. You've got the Italian slick guy.
Oh, like me.
Right, of course.
Give me Jetmoto, the next version of that. Don't try to rip off everybody else. You had a unique thing going, and you dropped the ball. Now, that's not to say that this game isn't fun.
That's what I was just going to say.
Fun experience.
I did enjoy this game.
You will have fun.
I was getting into the races. I was sitting on the edge of my seat trying to win the races and sort of beefing up my craft as I was going through. It's a fun game. It's just not a revolution. I'm going to give it 7 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 6.5.
On the positive side, there are beautiful worlds to race in this game. The graphics and music are very fun and fitting this extreme sports genre. And best of all, you get millions of gallons of choppy water. The water physics are great.
On the negative side, they try too hard to rip off all the other games in this genre. I wanted to see the old Jetmoto. The characters in this game are your total, typical, lame-ass, arcadey, rip-off stereotypes. And at the end of the day, there's nothing new in this experience. Too little, too late.
If you're like us, you've probably been playing a lot of PC games, and you're always disappointed by the fact that you have to leave a lot of them at home because your laptop that you take on the road just isn't powerful enough to run those 3D monsters. But Alienware is coming to the rescue because they've heard the call, and they've brought out a brand new laptop. It's called the Area 51M, and this machine is engineered specifically for game playing on the road.
The Area 51 laptop has every single cool laptop thing, all of the inputs and the cards and the this and the best that.
We're looking at a 2.8 gigahertz Pentium 4 machine. It's got the ATI Radeon 9000 video card in there, so you can handle extreme 3D graphics.
One of the things I look for in a laptop is weight and portability.
Portability, yeah.
And this is one of the heaviest laptops I've ever had. Another thing that I look for is battery life.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no sense in even getting a laptop if you can't use it on a plane going cross country to watch DVDs and to play games. But the paint job on this sucker is unbelievable.
It is gorgeous.
You look at it and it looks purple, then you switch it, now it's green, then you
It's
put
almost
it
a
out here
game
and it's
just
red,
to look at the thing.
which is great because when the battery dies after 10 minutes, all you'll be able to do is look at the cool case. But again, what I have for my laptop needs, you know, I can't recommend this machine.
Yes.
The average laptop goes for $1,500 to $1,800. This is twice the price.
Yeah, this is going up to about $3,000. I can't recommend this wholeheartedly. This is a hefty investment. On the positive side, this is a beautiful looking machine. The case is stunning. It's got beautiful innards as well. It has an incredibly powerful Pentium 4 processor, DVD drive. It's got all the inputs you could ever want. And best of all, it's a gamer's machine.
On the negative side, this thing weighs more than the freaking offensive line of the Miami Dolphins. The battery life is pretty dismal for this beast, and the price point is definitely not going to fit everyone's budget.
Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with a look at Kakuto Chojin for the Xbox.
All the words in the world, they picked those two to put together to name this game.
Buried Treasures brought to you by EB Games.
There's a new Bond movie out. You got new Bond games this year with Nightfire. But how many of you people knew that there was a Bond game on the Game Boy? Not the Game Boy Advance, but the Game Boy. And it was called James Bond 007. So now the one thing I got to tell you about this first, though, is that it's not for the Game Boy Color. It's not for the Game Boy Advance. So you got the old school Game Boy stuff, so you're kind of stuck with the black and white. Now you can, of course, put in your Game Boy Color, and instead of like those greens and dark greens, you'll get the browns and dark browns. But anyway, it's color. Yeah, right. The deal is this was kind of like an overhead type of view, but you could see the James Bond. Now, does this look like Pierce Brosnan or Sean Connery? No, you're this little kind of squatty head character and you roam around, but it's actually really fun. It's got a lot of, I don't want to call it an RPG, but it's a lot of kind of searching and talking to people and going different areas. Now, you have all sorts of different weapons too, from, you know, guns and machine guns and missile launchers, and you collect ammo and things like that. And but you also have a lot of the Bond gadgets as well, satellite uplinks and special watch deals and the whole thing. So it is a really excellent game. It'll take you a lot of time to finish, and it really holds your interest. It really moves you along. There's no parts that you really get stuck in. There's different rooms and different people to talk to. You got all the cool Bond gadgets like exploding pens and titanium shields and bulletproof vests that you collect along the way. If you're looking for a really simple game that kind of has that whole Bond spy thing going on, this is the game to get. It's really cool. James Bond 007 for the Game Boy. You can play it on your Game Boy Advance.
We're back. We're going to talk about Kakuto Chojin. How do you say this game?
You know, that's the first problem with this game.
Kakuto Chojin.
What a dumb name for a game.
Kakuto Chojin. It's from
it's
from Dream Factory.
Now,
and
let
it's
me tell
published
you.
by Microsoft for the Xbox.
And
now,
I gotta tell you, it's absolutely horrible.
Well,
it's terrible.
I don't think it's terrible.
It's the worst fighting game this year.
I don't think so.
Name a fighting game worse than this one. On any of the systems.
I think you might be right there.
Exactly.
But you know what? It isn't so much that the game itself is so bad.
No, it's a game.
It's just forgettable. It's got a good frame rate. The characters are kind of nifty. The sound effects are all right. Some of them are okay. Some of them are okay.
Stop
I've
right
entered
there.
into his domain.
No, stop.
I must be careful now.
No. There is one mousetrap sound
Right.
for one punch.
There are some good things,
Wait,
though.
wait.
All right, okay,
One more thing.
Apparently, we have one more
thing.
crappy thing
One
to
more
talk
thing.
about. All right.
Any fighting game that you can put in the first time
Right.
and beat all the way through with not even losing one match or losing one continue, there's something wrong.
Yep.
And then at the end, you're saying to yourself, well, okay, maybe I'll get a cool cinematic like Tekken.
No, you don't get that.
You get one static screen, and you have to read a paragraph in the ending, and that's it.
I know.
Complete disappointment.
That's lame too. But the thing is, though, is that there are some nice things about the game.
Please
the characters,
shed some light on
the
it for
characters are pretty cool. I like some of their characters in this game. I love the girl that has that sort of Brazilian karate thing.
The thing is that they
and
have
the Bruce Lee guy.
See, this is my problem, though. You're saying exactly what the problem is.
Yeah.
Is that every single character is a
stereotype.
rip-off,
Yes.
stereotype.
I like the colored lighting and all the particle
Very
effects
stiff.
and stuff.
The characters are very kind of stiff and jabby.
I had no problems with that.
Didn't give any cool moves at all.
The best part about this game, though, are the multiplayer battles, the Battle Royale, where you can have up to 4 people fighting all at the same time. And there's also a very cool survival mode. You're thrown into a ring with 3 opponents, and they're all coming at you at the same time, so it feels like a scene out of, like, Crouching Tiger.
I thought at least it could have been on Xbox Live, and then you could fight people. That would have been neat, right?
Still, yes.
Now, the one saving grace of this game, which is actually kind of sad, is that they have playable demos of Shenmue 2, NFL Fever, and Quantum Redshift.
You're not going to say the demos are the best thing about this game.
It actually is, because you know what the funny part is? Is I ended up playing the demo to Shenmue 2 more
You
than I
beat that game already.
And then I went in and I played a little bit of Quantum Redshift.
Right.
And then I found myself playing the demos more than the actual game itself, and that's sad.
You really didn't like Kakuto Chojin at all.
I don't know what. Yeah,
what are you going to give it?
I'm giving it a 3.
A 3? Well,
Trey.
I'm giving it a 5. On the positive side, there are some interesting character choices in there, like Shadow. The 4-player Battle Royale is kind of fun, and there's also a very cool single-player survival mode. Sadly, the best part about the game is that it has playable demos and trailers of other Xbox games that are more worth your time.
On the negative side, you can beat the game all the way through in 1-player mode using no continues and never losing. Hey, how about those mousetrap punch sounds? Yeah. And finally, please change the name for us.
Today on Judgment Day, we took a look at James Bond 007 Nightfire for the PC. This game features cool environments and characters, but the AI is horrible. For the GameCube, we looked at Phantasy Star Online Episodes 1 and 2. This is an awesome online RPG, but be ready for a regular monthly fee to play. On PlayStation 2, we looked at JetX20. This game features really nice graphics and a good sense of speed, but it really feels like another variation on SSX. On the Xbox, Tommy and I reviewed Kakuto Chojin. This is a fairly generic and dull fighting game, but it does have some pretty cool characters. In hardware, Tommy and I looked at the Alienware 51M laptop. This is a gorgeous, powerful machine, but it's pretty heavy, and it's expensive. For the Game Boy Advance, Tommy reviewed Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX 3. This game has a killer soundtrack, but it's really going to give your thumbs a workout.
Well, that's it for this show. We'll see you guys next time on Judgment Day. What are you up to back there, man?
I'm draining my Kakuto Chojin thing. Well, let me get this straight. Let me get. Okay. So you pay $50 for this game.
Right.
Then you have to get online, and to get online, you have to pay an additional fee every month to even play this game.
Right.
Then now you're expected to import some $100 keyboard that only exists in Japan. And guess what? There's not even going to be English words on the thing. You're going to have to figure out what the letters are.
Guaranteed, this game's going to sell enough units that there will be other keyboards out there.
What's up, brah?